What's happening? What's going on, family? How are you? Hey there, what's happening? What's going on? Waving at you. Waving at you. How are you? How are you? How are you? We wanted to go live today. Let's see, what is that? Request to be in a video. We wanted to come with you. Let's talk about it a little bit first. We wanted to go live today to talk a little bit about why life insurance is strategy versus product. I talk to people every day. I mean, 7 days a week about life insurance and about retirement planning and about strategy. The key to it simply is this. You must understand insurance as a contract. If you understand it as a contract, you will understand it's more strategy than it is product. See, most people ask the question, how much does it cost? Without even having a strategy, without creating any goals, without even understanding what life insurance really can do for you and your family. I mean, it's motivating to me because my job is to continue to share my mission, why books like this exist, the case for infinite banking. Build a human equity line of credit. What would the Rockefellers do? Become your own bank. Tax-free wealth. And I have a huge library of helping people with books to understand life insurance. Period. See, the one thing about life insurance is the terms are very literal. So when you break down the terms, it leaves people with a simplistic idea about the product. Life insurance. Oh, means when you die, your family gets money. Simple. Don't have to think anymore, right? No. See, that's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do. And when you think about it, the risk management factor of life insurance that's been around since the mid 1800s. That's right, 1800s. 1800s. When my culture was not allowed to even think about money. Or, as one woman said on her podcast, we were the money. I'll never forget that. So as time has evolved, even through Jim Crow era when we had 68 insurance companies across the country, 68. Please Wikipedia anything that I'm telling you, because that's how I had to learn. Google. 68 insurance companies that had billions of dollars in policies. Billions with a B. Now, I want you to name me how many insurance companies that are black owned today. Today. Just name me that. Because see, this country went through Jim Crow, we went through Reconstruction when we had black politicians, had a brother run for president. Then we went through Jim Crow and segregation when everything was taken away. When all our stuff was burned up. Then we got all the way to civil rights to fight for our rights. And by that time, all these other companies rushed into our neighborhoods to sell us their policies. And I'm talking about from the main culture. The clear folks. They rushed in to sell us insurance. And we forgot about our companies. we stop buying our companies. We let our companies die. Life insurance is strategy, folks. Because even those companies that took in those premiums, they invested in your community. They built buildings. They invested in the schools. They could not create risky investments, primarily because simply they had to pay the death benefits on the policies, so they couldn't put their money in stocks and bonds and even today in cryptocurrency, because if they lost all their monies and you had a contract to get $1 million to your parents or $1 million from your parents tax-free, and the company didn't have it, somebody be in breach of a contract, in breach of that policy. See, we got to think about this. And the reason why it became such a mission for me is because I kept asking myself, why? Why do other people have goo gobs of insurance, lots of life insurance, other policies, contracts, and my culture is always passing the hat? Using that .com as a donation space. You know the one I'm talking about. GoFundMe. Why are we doing that? When all we have to do, especially today, is take on the education that we've amassed in all these degrees, masters, PhDs, and sit down and say this contract equals money. And there's a reason why it has a tax code. So it's got to have some importance, because it's important to someone else. It's culture. When their 20-something-year-old young adults can buy $1 million property because there's air transfer, or there's tax-free money transfer, or that contract that grandpa did in the 50s. Yes, we didn't have that information back then, but in the 50s, that in the 80s or in the 2000s, it's worth millions. We got the information now, family. We just got to understand its importance. Insurance companies let contracts. You must understand what goes in that contract. The contract then can be applied to your life, or to the life of your children, or to the life of your grandchildren. And it does have fluidity. It could be transferred. It's a contract. We must know the parameters of it. And we got to challenge those people that are selling it. Yes, I said it. We got to challenge me to say, hey, this is what I want. I want to buy this. Not I want to be sold this. I want to buy this. And this is how I want it to read. And this is what I want in it. Yes, I know that this seems complicated, and policies beyond our purview have been put in front of us. Auto, homeowners, business insurance. And most of the time, those particular policies are forced on us. They are mandatory because they protect the asset. They protect the asset. So let me just explain that. Auto insurance is mandatory. When you finance a car, who owns that car till you pay it off? The finance company. So they make you get a policy so you would be interested in fixing that car if you have an accident, or you can fix it. So you got to get auto insurance. Even if you own it free and clear, you get insurance so that, comprehensive or liability, so that if you hit someone else, you can at least take care of their car, because you may not have the money saved up. Homeowners, if it takes 30 years to pay for a house, the bank still owns that. So the bank, they mandate that you get insurance. Homeowners insurance. So you would be interested in getting your house fixed up. So that you're not saying, man, I'm not worried about that. The bank owns that. I'm going on to do my business, going somewhere else. No, they make you get homeowners insurance before you can get a mortgage. So the question I asked, if you didn't have a mortgage, would you own homeowners insurance? 90% of people think about it and they say, yeah, I would own it because all I'm paying is a little bit and they're going to keep my house up. Because if you owned it outright and you burned it down, you'd be responsible for putting it back together. Insurance has its place. Life insurance is the only optional insurance. Optional. So most of us, we opt out. Or we say, I got it on my job. The job that you're not going to stay with forever, even if you stay there for 30 years. Even if you stay there for 30 years, you're going to retire. And 9 times out of 10, that policy that you had on your job stays at your job that you retired from. So understand simply this. What's going on, Rasta? My buddy. Understand simply this. That life insurance is a strategy. It's not a product. Yes, it's a long-term pay. So that makes it even more important to understand the strategy and how other people are using it. How it's applied to your life while you're living. Yes, even my single people without children. Yes. Because today you're making way more money than you ever made. Than your parents and grandparents. So it could be a part of your tax strategy. How? The policies have a tax code with the IRS. Certain types of policies. Allows you to grow money inside the policy tax-free. If you just take a minute to think about it, everything you do in this country is taxed. Everything. Everything. Except for pulling money in out of policies or growing money in a policy. And that's set up by law. And you're telling me you don't want to understand these contracts? That you just want to understand it on the surface? That you got yours already? Your cousin sold it to you? But they never explained it? That if I ask you what kind of policy you have, you really don't know what it is because you stuck it deep inside of your file cabinet or underneath your mattress. Life insurance is strategy. And I have no other way to think about it. Whenever somebody asks me what it costs, I'm like, you need to understand what you want. Because it's still based on actuarial science. Actuarial science. These smart mathematicians that join life insurance companies that predict your life expectancy to provide the life insurance company with a comfort in providing you that contract. Say, oh yeah, she's going to live to be X. So we'll allow her to have Y in terms of life insurance because she wants to spend Z in a policy. Then we go about looking at where the benefits are based on your family specifically. Actuarial scientists, they predict it. We put it in place. You use it while you're living, and you put yourself in a better position to manage the risk of life. Every day is a risk. Every day is a risk. We watching a 24-hour news cycle. 24-hour news cycle. I had to turn it off. Hell, there was a school shooting today. So every day is a risk. Do you have risk management? Is there anything that you have that's going to manage the risk of something happening to you that can affect your family or affect the things you've accumulated? So let's talk about single single people. Simply this. A lot of our single people are getting very wealthy, especially my young clients. They're buying real estate. They're building huge stock portfolios. They're doing Forex trading. They're doing cryptocurrency. I mean, that's the first time I've ever seen as many 30 and 20-year-olds driving Rolls Royces in my life. Used to be for the uber rich. Now it's so commonplace, it's scary. And most of the time, they buy it for tax purposes. Yeah, a lot of people buy it to floss. But most of the time they buy it because they got so much income that Uncle Sam say, give me some back. Give me some of that income back. He said, nah, I bought this 6,000-pound truck, this G-Wagon. So let me get some of that off my taxes. I bought some rental property. Let me take some of that off my taxes. It's in the tax code. You gave it to Warren Buffett. You gave it to Jeff Bezos. You gave it to all these rich people. Give it to me too. Because I'm reading this much of the tax code. I ain't looked at all this stuff about life insurance yet. I ain't listened to LaBroi Insurance Group yet. I haven't read his book yet. I ain't read it yet. So give me something, off my taxes based on what I see. But I'm telling you, folks, you have to understand strategy when it comes to this. It's about creating risk management because every day there's some kind of risk. And most risks you can't control. They're trying to figure out how to bring the country back together. You think that's going to happen soon or later? Pandemic. When is it going to really be over? How do you protect your family based on that risk? Situations, car accidents, lawsuits. I mean, the list goes on of things that you can control, events that you know or events that you don't know. As you grow, you want to put layers of risk management in place so you know that you have the ability to continue on if something happens that's out of your control. If there's a recession, they keep talking about inflation and a recession behind these 10, 12, 15 years of growth in this country. Yeah, it could possibly happen. Are you ready? Do you have the right risk management in place to be able to overcome that? You made a lot of money. You had a lot of income. What happens when the social media sites go down like they did? And all your business is controlled by the free social media sites. What happens? 100% of your money for your family is made online? What happens? How you control that? How you deal with it? Have you thought about it? Have you thought about your lifeline and what you want to do when it's time to stop doing anything? What I call that is your life expectancy. How long do you plan on working? How long you plan on working? I guess when you hit the button on your iPhone or your Android, you can work forever. But what about in your mind? You say, I don't want to do this anymore. Or what happens in your body, your health, when you say, I don't want to do this anymore? Or what happens when you got to take care of your family members, your elders, when you say, I can't do this anymore? Or what happens when you got to continue to manage your children and grandchildren's lives, when you say, I don't have a choice not to do this anymore? Have you put things in the right position to manage your life? Man, I got love for y'all because this is something that I finally realized that across the board in my culture is very well misunderstood. And it continues to be complex because you got all these people out here telling you to buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. They're selling you, selling you, selling you, selling you. but they're not giving you a comprehensive understanding or encouraging you to educate yourself on something that's been around for over 180 years in this country. Damn. Older than Facebook, older than Instagram, older than Google, older than IBM, older than, I mean, some of these the companies, older than Clorox, older. These strategies have been in place. And now the information is online. I'm not saying become an insurance agent, but I'm saying understand what you're buying. Because the one thing I will say all the time is that you can't refinance life insurance. Once you've bought it when you're in your 20s, 30s, now you're in your 50s. When I mean you can't refinance it, you can't go back and get the same rate you got in your 20s because you are 30 years older. Now you can still strategize to get a policy that will be effective. Don't get me wrong. It's not about the fact that it's going to cost you more. It's about what is it going to do for you. What is it going to do for you? Straight up. It's a contract, family. And it equals money. Talk to me. You know? Let me know what you think. Get back at me. Let me know how you feel about that. Let me send you my book list. Let me make sure that you, your family, at your family reunion is very much in understanding of these contracts. And there are 852 companies out there that sell life insurance. I just want to put that out there. So, I just wanted to hop in here, have some conversation. I'm definitely going to drop this in my stories so people can hear it and see it again. Me and my guy, Marcus Garvey, going to be talking to you on a regular basis. Take care. One love. Steve LaBroi, Insurance Strategy. Take it easy.